meta decks, and I guess we'll have to see which non-meta hero will be our story for this event.
Yeah,
Hopefully, at
that's
least one
right.
of them
And it
will do
looks
well.
to be for the round of top 64, guys. We have a little bit of an off meta legends. Viktor coming in at only 2 represented in top cut. Ornn coming in single digits. This is the only Ornn, the only hope for Ornn players. Does he have what it takes to take down the likes of Viktor? I could only imagine this Viktor might very well be something like the prison style Viktors with a whole lot of removal. I haven't seen this matchup too much, but I would imagine with that blue Ornn being one of the only units available to Ornn, having Deflect 2, and then those Cell Songers adding Deflect 4, it could get a teeny bit problematic for Viktor. Or do you
Mhm.
think they just have a bit too much removal?
It is kind of interesting. It depends on what the Victor is playing. I would say personally, I would give it to Viktor because Ornn is a ramp deck, and it is a variant of a ramp deck. And Viktor traditionally has a extremely good matchup into like the Aurora decks and the other ramp decks, like the Ramp Yi. And this version of Viktor, I will say this is yellow Viktor, so this could be like even more of the token aggression Viktor, not like the blue kill Viktor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you
So
get a
I,
little indication of that from the arena's greatest. You oftentimes don't see it. So, as you
mhm,
said, a more aggressive deck, this might just be the most aggressive style Victor list we tend to see. As you mentioned, that yellow Victor is going to be getting
mhm.
him a recruit token every time one of your units dies, which is a bit of, which kind of tells us he's playing more than just recruits, right? He's playing units in his deck to get value from that because the prison style Victor only has units in their legend ability, don't they not?
Hmm. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I really didn't expect this to be our match. Ooh, okay, we get a little glimpse there. So there is a vengeance. So they are opting to play like some of the kill spells. So maybe it's like a little bit of a homebrew, a mix between the very control-y, almost prison Victor and the more aggressive one, because there was a Watcher in there as well. I think the hand was Vengeance, Walker, Bellows Breath, and did he catch the last card?
No, I didn't get to see too much, but I am seeing that Bellows Breath, so I think it is a nice little mix because I think just Spirit Forge came out
Mhm.
with good cards for this color combination. So Desina mulliganing 2 cards, or perhaps he's keeping them as he's pushing them forward. But let's see what they have. I have a funny feeling, Viktor, if he's on the play versus an aspirant climb, you know that Ornn's going to be
Mhm.
really slow to the punch. So Viktor might just have what it takes to kind of squeeze on under, despite having to go up to 9 points. Is that a whole lot of treasure hoarders or just a whole lot of order cards? I think it was a Captain Vanguard. I think this might be the Captain Vanguard matron build. Have you seen that in Viktor's?
Mhm. I I haven't seen it in set two, so I'm pretty interested in seeing how this goes. I think this should be an excellent matchup for Victor if that is what this build is. Is not only do you get to play really fast and really aggro, but if they are playing the Matron Vanguard package, I would expect like stratagems in their deck, or at the very least like a decree. And both of those cards should be extremely hard for Ornn to deal with.
Oh yeah, I think so. Even cards like Call of the Week might be a little bit problematic for him as well. But Viktor will indeed be on the play. Did he forget his point? NA, the beginning is before the channel. I can't believe
Oh
in the
no.
round of top
I hope not.
64, players are forgetting their arena's greatest trigger. Does Ornn forget he channeled before the point, but the judges don't mind? He's saying at least you got the point before you drew. The Viktor player
Oh my
slapping
gosh.
himself in the face a little bit as Ornn develops our little
Oh
clockwork to start things
no.
off.
That's incredible. I mean, when it's your battlefield too, it's not even like it's his opponent's battlefield, but there's a lot of pressure when you're on stream,
Mm-hmm.
especially in the top cut. It's very easy to make these silly mistakes, but that one is going to absolutely hurt because a lot of times these aggro versus ramp decks are it's a very slim margin that you can squeeze under by. And you played Annie, so you can understand this, right?
Oh
Where
yeah.
sometimes you have that last push, and if it goes back to them, you lose the game. So
Mm-hmm. And you guys got to keep in mind, It's an Arena's Greatest and a Aspirant Climb Battlefield Game 1, right? So Arena's Greatest was a way of
Mhm.
kind of equalizing the field in a sense. So Victor had to just essentially go up to 8, but now he actually does have to make that big climb up to 9 points, which could come and bite him when everything's said and done. But at the very minimum, he's going to be able to get his first point online with that Aspirant Climb Conquer with the Treasure Hoarder, of course, develops a little recruit token, and on top of that, will get the Manufacturer online. So this is definitely a different Victor than we've seen before. Perhaps things like Manufacturer, things like the Captain Vanguard we said. And if he has those, I do think he might very well be playing the Matron. It kind of makes sense to me, right?
Yeah, I am kind of curious here. You see the Ornn played a Clockwork, which is not traditionally what you see the Ornn builds play. Generally, you see them play like the Voltron style Ornn with the do you remember her name? Crown Guard? Is it Crown Guard?
Tiana, yeah. Tiana. Or
Yeah,
Tatiana or Tiana? Tatiana Crown Guard.
yes. Yeah, generally you see the giant kind of ramp Ornn, and then you stack a battlefield with her. At least those have been the ones that I've seen that have been more successful, and it looks like he actually is playing some other two drops. So I actually like it a lot. It does force your opponent to kind of respect both battlefields. You do have to take care of the unit, and then also it does, like, I mean, this card was being played in Yi as well, right? As just the option for a draw late game, even though
Mm-hmm.
you don't traditionally use it. Um,
Yeah, I think it's very similar to the fact how Aurelia players weren't running a whole lot of low to the ground units, and then they realized they
mhm.
were just getting defeated by early game advantage off their opponents, so they decided to put in some more early cards. I think could be a similar story for this Ornn deck, saying if I don't have a Clockwork, if I don't have a Lonely Poro, these guys are just gonna get free early conquers. So let's put these in the deck just in a way of kind of slowing the game plan down for my opponent. But I'm seeing a really good card in hand, that Stellarcorn Herder, one of the best calm cards coming out of Spiritforged. He does have enough runes, but goes for the Spell Songer.
Mm.
And why would he develop that out now? Does he just feel like it's going to be safe? No main board equipment removal?
Yeah, I mean, you can generally feel fairly safe to not expect main deck equipment removal from what I've seen. You know what was kind of interesting there is he was considering actually attaching it to the Clockwork, which is I can kind of see the vision, right? It does put it over the that it gives a +2, right? Spell
Plus zero,
Songer.
only because it has such a strong
Wait.
ability. So it
Oh,
would have
you're right. You're
doubled
right.
nothing, I believe, on the Clockwork. So maybe he wasn't thinking about it too
Yep.
much. But here we go. The Wages of Pain trying to
Hmm.
do 3 damage onto the Clockwork, but we might just be seeing a not so
Okay.
fast coming down to simply protect the Clockwork. But you tap out for that. It doesn't
Yeah.
seem too beneficial because you're able to just take it down with something like a Manufacturer and then push in with the Recruit. Would you have liked to save that Clockwork there? It almost feels like you kind of just spent that not so fast for not too much value, no?
Yeah, I'm not sure myself. It's kind of strange, to be honest. I guess the idea here is he just wants to keep the victor's board as small as possible. And I will say, getting rid of stopping the wages of pain does deramp you one, but it also stops your victor opponent from ramping one, essentially,
Hmm.
with the treasure token. So he's saying that I'm okay deramping if you don't get the ramp, which honestly I don't really agree with. But I mean, clearly he's got a plan in mind. He does kind of have the advantage here in that the victor did miss their trigger, but I mean, the board presence is looking pretty favored for Victor here, not gonna lie.
Oh yeah, I could
Let's
only agree more. It looks like a Stellarcorn gonna be coming out, but as you mentioned, with the strong board presence being developed on Victor's side, he's gonna he's gonna easily gonna be able to push 2 units up, scoring up to 5. And mind you guys, if he actually remember the arena's greatest, that would be him going up to 6 total points, very close to closing things out. Maybe that's just the exact little bit of breathing room the Ornn needs to try to get back in this game because he has some good equipment. He just needs some way of getting this Ornn online. Ah, man, there's this one card, the signature gear from Ornn. I feel like that's the only way in this position to really get back in the game. I think it's called Requiem. You know what I'm talking about? Ready all your units, and then your units have ganking, something along those lines.
I believe it's Shirelius. Yeah, so it's Shirelius Requiem, and it is unique. It is what I believe all three of his gears are unique, and it is when you play this, ready your units. So it is essentially a full board accelerate or however you'd like to use it, and then it does give your units ganking at the
Mm-hmm.
place. Though I will say it generally isn't incredible because you don't like have a lot of units, so it's not like you get to make this giant push. You do generally just like move like one or two units, which admittedly can be good, right? Like you put your Ornn in your Crown Guard and then you just say, all right, we're both ganking over to the other battlefield. Like, what are you going to do about it? I will say we haven't seen the I believe it is the Doran Shield, right?
Yeah.
The Doran Shield, which is kind of like the core piece of that strategy, right? Where you give your Ornn tank, and then the Crown Guard can't be really interacted with as well. So I wonder if
Mm.
he's got kind of his own little homebrew here, right? Because we've seen the smaller units and still haven't seen the actual Ornn champion unit played either.
Yeah, I love what you're saying. In the moment he's able to drop something like the Crown Guard, back that up with something big like a tank Ornn or the blue Ornn, there could be some way of getting back in this game. But think about what we're saying here. You got to first off develop the Crown Guard. It has to be on a battlefield to get. Actually, does it have to be on the battlefield to gain its ability? I might be mistaking it with another card. But either or, you have to get your Ornn online as well to be pushed up on a battlefield. So it's a whole lot of pieces you have to put together. And at the same time, Viktor on relentless with this pressure, just board a unit after unit, conquer after conquer, going most likely up to 7 points, one for the hold and one for the push. Unless, did he just conquer this turn up to 5? I don't remember if he did.
So he was at 3, 4, 5. I want to say he retreated from the arenas and pushed up onto the aspirants.
Okay.
So, oh my gosh, look at all those tokens. Can you see if he has like a decree in hand? I feel like I see one.
I saw one. You're totally right. There is an
Yeah.
Imperial Decree. So even if that blue Ornn ended up hitting the board, it's going to take a whole lot to stop that. You're going to need a wind wall at that. Not so fast won't be enough for that kind of spell because it doesn't target your own unit. So Ornn, the single Ornn. I mean, at the same time, there's only two Victors, so you could almost say the single Victor as well. Not feeling in a great position in this round of 64. He made it all the way into day 2, but it's just not looking good. It just so happens to be a rather unfavorable matchup as you brought it to our attention earlier on. It does seem to be that way as things keep progressing onto this game. And the Steric Hand, is that, or a Gauge? I forgot what that one was
Yep.
called.
Stark's Cage, I believe it is, and it is a quick draw. I want to say it's a +3. Stark's Cage, yes, it is a +3 quick draw. So, and we get the Stellacorn, and you do get to. Is Viktor thinking here? Can't tell if this did go through or he's thinking.
I believe he ended up getting the Conquer, so he draws 2. The Cellsonger coming in pretty clutch on a Stellacorn Hoarder because you do, or the
Mhm.
Stellacorn Herder, because you do end up drawing 2, so there is some kind of hope. Getting your resources enough
Mhm.
to find some kind of answers, and here is the man of the hour. You need to establish this Ornn ASAP, but is it just a little bit too late? If he remembered the arena's greatest trigger, I would almost say it's a little bit too late, but there's some distance between
Mhm.
5 and 9. That's 2 whole turns of conquering. You have to go 6, 7, and then you have to go 8, 9, of course. So there could be a world, maybe as we mentioned, the Requiem allowing Ornn to push up and then ready and then gank the other side. If Viktor tries to just hold a battlefield, which doesn't seem too likely, of course, just hypothetically, maybe Ornn can squeeze
Mhm.
back in this game because he just has 2 runes. Actually, only a single rune to try to defend from this push, going up to most likely 7 for Viktor. And you don't even have to invest a pure decree at this point. I think you keep it rather simple. You have enough raw
Mhm.
might on the board to take care of the Stellacorn. It's only at 3 might because Fellsonger only has 0. Oh, and to make matters worse, that was another
Woo.
Imperial Decree off the top. He could do just Imperial Decree, and just end things in 2 turns, I believe.
So what's actually kind of interesting is Ornn does have an answer for this board state. It's not super easy, but he does have an answer, and it is the Forge Fire Cape.
Oh.
as the Forge Fire Cape does deal an AoE 2 damage whenever the unit it's attached to attacks or defends. So he does potentially have an answer for the board state, even through the decree. Though we will have to get rid of the three might units, because quite obviously, like a 3 might unit would go through that. But there is a potential answer. It's if he finds it, I mean, he will get another 2 draws off the Stellacorn and then 1 for moving it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's still going to see a fair amount more cards. And I guess the question is if he even plays it as well. I know some of the Ornn lists were like not playing the full suite of their signature spells, at least before.
I know there's only 1 in 40, right? So you got to kind of pick which signature gears you want to bring out into these main boards. But I would imagine it seems like a really good one. But you know, the aggressive decks are kind of like far and few between. So I wouldn't blame them to kind of forego that signature gear for some of the other ones we've seen before. But swinging in with that Captain Vanguard and the Treasure Hoarder, adding up for 5 might versus the 3. But is there something like a Wages of Pain, or I guess Azonia's Hourglass would feel pretty good? You recall it back. That doesn't count as a move though, of course, because it's just a recall. So you're not gonna. I mean, you have Azonia's already on the board, so you know your Stellacorn is virtually safe, but it's gonna be investing a single card, and it's gonna be the Cloth Armor, I believe, or what's the official name of it?
Isn't it cloth armor? I thought it was cloth armor. Yeah. Yes, it is cloth armor. So I'm gonna give it shield 2, I believe, for a quick draw 1. So not too bad here. It ends up trading with both units, though the yellow Victor being on the field does
Oh,
mean
but
this
keep
means
it.
more recruits.
And hey,
Yep.
wouldn't it double because of Spellsonger? You get +4 shield.
Ooh. You're actually absolutely correct. So in that case, it just straight up wins, right? That's pretty good. I
Yeah, the
didn't think about that
power,
interaction.
the magnitude of Spellsonger coming out to play. Imagine a quick draw 1 energy play just getting +4 shield on a unit, especially in this circumstance, because you just invested 2 of your bigger might units, and now you do have enough little guys. But if there's a good hidden card, I can't even imagine what's going to be under that card. It is another Zonia, so that card is super safe, but I think it does stack that way, right? You would go up to shield 4?
Maybe it doesn't. Actually, does it?
I guess not.
That's
I guess we get our answer. I think it's the unit's abilities, but it almost seemed like it should work that
yeah.
way. But we're seeing here in chat, thank you, Snap, saying it's not for the gears.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I honestly don't know how that works. I haven't really seen these cards interact before. I could see it both ways, right? Because it is granting the keyword to the card, so you could say the card has the text, but
Mm-hmm.
maybe it is just the raw text of the card. I can't say. I'm
Yeah, we're seeing a
unfortunately
couple people
super.
agree with the judges out in China saying you do not get the copy from the gear, only the raw unit. I think I just get confused because the blue orange seems to have
Mhm.
every single ability under the sun, right? When he has the Cellsonger. So I think that's where the confusion is. But if we thought Victor didn't have enough recruit tokens, down comes the Captain Vanguard, down comes the Victor Legend ability, adding a whole 4 more recruit tokens. I think this game is over. You need like a quadruple Bellows Breath, which you can't even run it in your main board, of course. Oh man, this is tough, especially when we think about the simple fact that there's 2, not just 1, there's 2 Imperial Decrees, and you can't even defy, you can't not so fast. You need to invest a wind wall for that kind of card. So it's looking all but over. Is there any kind of line of play you can think about for this Ornn?
Yeah, well, I mean, you got to draw off the Stellacorn and kind of pray, is what I imagine. So at least gonna get up to 4 here. 2 more cards. Do we see an answer?
Look to be another pickup of not so fast. No, actually, that's Consult the Past, believe it or not. So Consult the Past does get the Conquer. So he's gaining points, but points aren't going to matter because the only point that truly matters is that final victory point, and that is looking like
Mhm.
Victor might be achieving that this very next turn. He's trying to say, what can I possibly do to set up the biggest defenses I can? I have a Twonk. I have he honestly just doesn't have enough answers, right? The Imperial Decree is such a phenomenal card. You're able to go 1 by 1 by 1, and you don't have to, you could just slowly test the waters. Does he have an answer for this? If not, your unit dies. Does he have so on and so forth. It looks like Viktor with just so much board presses online and that Imperial Decree. If he had a wind wall though, there's a chance, right? Because I don't think he could play 2 Imperials. Or actually, looking at the runes on the UI, I think he actually can play 2 Imperials.
Yeah, so it'll be at 5. He will go up to, I want to say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So yeah, he could play 2 decrees, unfortunately.
Yeah.
As long as he is playing enough yellows. Oh, no, he has a gold token. Yeah, he can play enough.
Yeah, he definitely
can
has
play
enough.
2.
Oh, he needs to hit. Oh, yeah, you're right. He does have a gold token. And the Ornn player is struggling to see the line as well. He's like, wait a second. Is there some hope in this game, number 1? These rounds are on time. As you guys can tell, the middle of the screen or the upper middle of the screen, the time is counting up rather than counting down. So even as early as the round of top 64, it's completely untimed. So these guys are probably going to play a bit slower than we saw in their Swiss rounds. And if you guys remember yesterday, some of the players were really taking their time. Perhaps they were prepared for
Oh,
day
for
2.
sure.
Yeah, they were going slow play mode, but they ended up getting a draw nonetheless, so it kind of didn't benefit them when everything was said and done. But in this situation, it does tend to benefit the player that completely thinks out their plays to ensure you don't make any kind of mistakes, as these high stakes are on the line. But I'm just not seeing it. Viktor just has everything going for him, has the board, has the cards, and just able to probably close things out this next turn. I guess Viktor just perhaps wants to bait out a couple more cards just to see what he's dealing with for a game 2 situation, because he's even revealing a Steric Gauge. I wouldn't be able to play around that as the Viktor player, so that's honestly more free information for Viktor, right?
It's free information. It unfortunately isn't going to do anything here. I will say he is forcing his Viktor opponent to reveal the decrees, where that is something that potentially you could say as the Viktor player, assuming that he had not played like the Sterics and the double hidden and some scary cards, you could go for a line where you're like, okay, I'm just going to not reveal knowledge, and I'm going to just win with what I have on board. I don't need to use my decrees. Don't reveal that I'm playing the decrees, though. I mean, if you are in touch with the meta, you should be able to make an educated guess that a token Viktor is playing decree. But there is some sort of like metagaming you can do and try and hide knowledge. But in this case, I mean, it becomes pretty straightforward, right? You just drop the decree and you go 1 by 1 by 1, and the game should be over.
Yeah, as you said, it's super straightforward in this circumstance. So I think that's exactly what this Viktor player has in mind. Goes out and plays the Imperial Decree. Is there any kind of counter capabilities that Consult the Past trying to draw something like the Wind Wall? Does he mainboard that type of counter spell in general? He picks up 2 cards. It looks like it was a not so, actually no, he had the not so fast already. Does he have a secondary? No. Okay, he draws 2 more, NA. There's gonna be a wind wall off the top? It would be incredible, but a little
Nope.
short of luck, it looks like.
Yep, unfortunate. Ooh, is that Singularity I see? That's cool. Okay. This is a pretty different Ornn list.
Yeah, with Ornn drawing so much cards, digging deep into his deck in game 1, is giving us a bit of an insight what kind of main board or what kind of list in general he's seems to be running. I'm not seeing any Tatiana Crown Guards in that list. I'm seeing a whole lot of combat spells, which I guess makes sense for an Ornn deck. I'm used to seeing a little bit more of the equipment-centric build, because he had some equipment, but I saw a whole lot more like Twonks, counters, of course, but Viktor does indeed get the game number 1 of the round of 64 started. It looks like Ornn's Forge and Obelisk of Power will be those battlefields for the secondary game. Now, Ornn's Forge seems like a rather straightforward one. That's the one that oh, I'm always mixing them up. Is that the one that costs 1 less for your equipment?
Yeah, it's when you control the battlefield, the first non-token gear played each cost 1 less. So it, with the Ornn leader, essentially will make some of the gears free, which is cool. What's more interesting to me is the Obelisk of Power. The Viktor, I traditionally have seen that as a going first battlefield for him, because you do get the ability to play a 2-drop and then a Victor token, but going second, that's a little bit more interesting to me. You could go, I guess, like a 3-drop in a token, so like manufacturer, I guess, but I don't know.
Yeah, you got a good point because you can't really do like recruit legend and then vanguard, so it has to only be like a manufacturer.
Mhm.
What other 3 drop can we do? Because I wouldn't think about him establishing his champion as early as that turn one. It doesn't really make too much sense without any follow up units or any before
Mhm.
units. And we do see a decent amount of equipment. And oh, are you seeing
Ooh,
the big one there? The Requiem
yes, yes.
is in hand, and there's actually a Sona. I'm interested to see if that was more of a sideboard card because we didn't see any bit of Sona come out to play in that game one, allowing him to get a whole lot more runes to use those counter slash pumps if he has it, but trying to do what you can do for that opening turn and develops out a nice little cell songer.
Yeah, I mean, if you do have the Sona with the Cell Songer, that should be pretty crazy, right? You just restand like what, 8 runes at the end of your turn, or something.
Yeah,
But
you might not
it
even
does
have
look.
that many runes to ready, honestly, but that is a play. If he had the cards, he just needs to build up his card advantage to make full benefit of things like that. And the Pundering Poro coming out as the opening Pele, and it looks like it was simply 3 runes, so not making full use of the 4, leaving 1 available. Perhaps something like, I was gonna say like a Stupefy or something, but doesn't make too much sense in this situation. Let's see what the Ornn has though. It looks like a not so fast with the pickup. So I am seeing very little amount of units on Ornn's side, having a bit of what I like to call the Aurelia dilemma, where you're lacking units early on. And we saw how that went for him in game number 1. This might just be a double conquer for Viktor very easily without too much to say for it. So we'll see. It looks like he's playing something out while recycling. And there is a Sona. There is a single unit. You have to play. It doesn't feel the best to have it in base, but you have to establish something, right?
Well, this is going to be bad because this is the same as the Rek'Sai game that we watched. There's a Call of the Week in the Victor's hand, so bye bye Sona. If he chooses to use it this early, I guess there is a world where you say, I'm fine with you establishing 1 Sona. I'm going to save this for something more impactful. But I would not be surprised at all if he just decides to say, nope, the Sona's out of here. You've shown that you don't really have any good units here. Play your champion, I'll deal with that too. And then you're just stuck with no units, which, like you said, it's the Aurelia dilemma, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And it looks like a proper play line, in my opinion. You could push up one of those recruit tokens, get the conquer before going on and playing on one of those call of the weeks. And you're hoping he doesn't have a single defy. We have all the knowledge here in the commentary booth. I don't actually think I saw a defy. He had a not so fast, but that's of course going to be too energy invested, and he just doesn't have that as of right now. If he wants to take the gamble, it's a little bit of a calculated risk. Does he have it? He could bait it out. You eventually got to get through a couple defies, but that would be huge. You take down the Sona. I don't want to say you win the game, but you're able to score at least 2 to 4 more points rather easily. 2 with the hold, retreat back, and then maybe 2 more on the push, as they're probably not able to be pushed forward. And here he goes. He's going for it, saying no counter options available. The Sona hitting the trash, and things are looking rather disastrous if you ask me for the Zorn.
Yeah, this is looking, if possible, worse than the first game. This is not good, not good. But it all hope is not lost. I will say it is a little bit interesting that it was played the way that he did right there, where he played he killed the token in his base, and maybe there's something I'm missing, but my initial thought is like you kill the token on on the forge battlefield, then you can play the Bilgewater Pearl in your base, and then you get another gold token the next turn, right? Because you can just conquer it.
That
But
makes sense.
another Sona coming down.
Yeah, it looks to
This
be.
one will survive.
We'll see if it does survive, right? He has to make it survive. It looks like it should be able to survive at least a single could kill spell because of Zonya's Hourglass, of course. So does get up those 2 points as we were speaking about the previous turn, going up to 4. And there is indeed no aspirant climb in this game number 2. So all you need is 4 more. You're at the halfway point. And oh man, this Viktor looks to just be drawn into all the options. Or maybe this deck just seems to have all the options because we're seeing the Savage. He doesn't seem to be playing it,
Oh
but
my
he
gosh.
does. Oh yeah.
And then a Call of the Week is going to follow this right up. So still no units for the Ornn deck.
You know, this is what these Viktor players have been known for in the Spiritforged meta, just kill spell after kill spell, and it makes it so much worse when you follow things up or follow your kill spells from the back of things like Salvage, kind of completely eliminating the safety net that the Sona / Ornn player was trying to build on their turn. Say goodbye to Guardian Angels, say goodbye to those Hourglasses, and say goodbye to every single unit you're trying to establish on your board. That's going to be another 2 points more than likely, because I don't think Ornn has any kind of accelerate potential, does he? I'm trying to think off the top. I don't think
Well, the
so.
Shrelia's gear does ready your units, right?
True.
But it is fairly expensive. I believe it's four energy. I want to say it, yeah, 4 energy, 2 power. So you do have to be able to play it plus a unit, which I mean might be a bit too slow.
I think so. Super slow. Because Viktor going up to 6, and that's exactly where you want to be. You could kind of give the Ornn a couple turns. Granted, you definitely don't want to do that. You don't want to give him any kind of chances whatsoever. But in the worst case scenario, you could try to just, hopefully if he has something like Imperial Decree, just continue to build on. And under Titan in,
Wow.
in Viktor NA. I've never seen that before.
It's like a little mini decree, right? Or sorry, not decree, a stratagem, right? All your units get +2 when you play it. So not ooh, this is kind of interesting. I actually don't really it's probably fine. So the thought here is if you do go for a double pullback, now you do open yourselves to like a higher impact. Again, Bellows Breath, if he plays it, which I think we've kind of established he probably doesn't. But not really the end of the world, because it does. I mean, he's in a very, very, very solid position here.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It looks like he's going to play out the Viktor Chosen Champion, get out another recruit token. But we saw what's in hand, guys. There is an Imperial Decree looming in that hand. So as early as the next turn, he's going to be trying to make that victory push. Can the Ornn stop it with something like a wind wall? Because in this situation, I believe that might just be the only available saving grace for Ornn. And we're just seeing an Emperor's Divide, and not so fast, the Requiem. And I think a Spell Songer. So things are not looking good, because I don't think any of those cards are adding to your card economy in your hand, right? So you could push up. But yeah, I don't think he's going to see any more cards this turn. Imperial Decree, push, push, push. Is that a GG, NA?
I think it is. I don't really see a way that he is able to survive here, which is unfortunate. I mean, this was probably the worst roll that the Ornn player could have gotten. I think this is probably his worst matchup. Can you think of one that's worse? I mean, this seems
No,
insanely
yeah,
bad.
you know, I was just thinking, I'm like, man, why did things just seem so simple for this Viktor player? Because you guys know, everyone at home understands Riftbound can be a rather complex type game. So many little details, so many intricacies among turns. But Viktor just making it look like elementary school type tests almost. Ornn player just having nothing to do, almost seems like. I mean, he tried to get those Sonas rolling, but Viktor just answer after answer, making it look rather easy. And still in that driver's seat, mind you, he has the Imperial Decree. Does he at least get, I mean, he's gonna get 2 points, right? But without the Sunfire Cape, it makes it super straightforward to just Imperial Decree and then go ahead and push up your units. The Ornn does come online, technically gets up 2 points, so small little victories for him, but he won't be winning this game, as it looks to be ending as early as the very next turn. So yeah, as you said, I think this might have just been the worst matchup, similar to how we saw Kaiser and Teemo early on in set 1.
Yeah, this is really rough, and you can see the Victor player is just like he's Ornn player is sweating his butt off, and Victor player's like la la la, this is so easy. Like I don't, there's not really a
Yeah,
lot of
just
thought in
having a
it. You just kind of
grand
like,
time, just hanging out in
oh
the
my.
playground and make it even a little bit
Mhm.
worse. It looks like Vengeance gets picked up. That will be not so fast. If you have enough runes, you could try to bait out a counter, but you know there's not even a win wall online because there's only 2 energy available for Ornn, so it just keeps it
Mhm.
super straightforward. Periods are created to close things out, and Victor, one of 2 Victor players, will be moving forward into the round of 30 through 32. Can he make a good deep run in today's top cut? That is going to be a good question.